All right, let's get right into it. When we talk about neurodiverse families, families where someone's brain works a little differently, like with autism or ADHD, our minds usually jump to the child who's diagnosed, and of course, their parents. But there's this whole other story unfolding, right there in the same house, in the quiet corners and hospital waiting rooms. Today, we're finally putting the spotlight on the siblings.
This quote, wow. It comes from a pediatrician, Rukhsana Latif, and it just completely stopped me in my tracks. Think about it. An 8-year-old girl standing up to a doctor, not because she's scared, but because she is fiercely protecting her sister. It just perfectly captures this incredible role that so many of us never even see.
So here's the thing we really need to get. These siblings, they are not just passive bystanders in their family story. No way! They are active, deeply involved, and often carrying a wisdom and a sense of responsibility that's way beyond their years. This whole explainer is about bringing their experience out of the shadows and into the light.
So we're calling this first section Siblings in the Shadows, because, just as Dr. Latif points out, they're so often right there, but completely overlooked, whether it's in a doctor's office or even just at the dinner table. So let's break down what that actually looks like.
We're not talking about small acts of kindness here. These are things that just defy a child's age. Can you imagine a 9-year-old giving a doctor a flawless medical history for their brother because their parents just had to step away for a minute? Or a sister who gives up her playtime day after day just to sit by her baby sister's side in the NICU? This isn't just being helpful. This is profound, powerful advocacy.
But being so mature and so helpful all the time, it definitely comes at a cost. See, underneath that brave face, these siblings are often carrying, well, what one source calls a complicated weight of emotions.
So, what is this complicated weight made of? What are the feelings that create this burden? Well, the sources show it's a really complex, layered experience, and it often starts with something pretty common.
First up, there's embarrassment. I mean, think about it. When you're a kid, pretty much anything your family does can feel embarrassing, right? Now, multiply that by 1,000 with public meltdowns or behaviors that make people stare. That is an incredibly tough social pressure for any kid or teen to have to navigate.
And then there's resentment. And this is a really tough one to admit, but it is so normal. When your whole family life, from vacations to where you go to school, has to revolve around one sibling's needs, it's pretty natural for the other child to feel like their own needs and dreams just always come second.
And all of this leads to a really serious risk, loneliness. Research is super clear on this. This isn't just a fleeting feeling. It has real, lasting consequences. These siblings often report having fewer close friendships and just a greater sense of being isolated, which can lead to higher rates of both loneliness and depression when you compare them to their peers.
This quote really just says it all, doesn't it? It's not about loving their sibling any less. It's about a basic human need to be seen, to feel that you matter too, that you are important. That's the real core of that complicated weight.
But, and this is a really crucial turning point, the story isn't just about the burdens. This whole experience is like a coin with two sides. For every single challenge, like worry or jealousy, there's often a corresponding strength that's being forged at the very same time, like empathy or resilience.
So let's flip that coin over. It's time to talk about the unexpected and honestly, pretty incredible strengths that these siblings so often develop.
So while there's no doubt it's challenging, this kind of environment can build a remarkable depth of character. It pretty much forces you to see the world from a different perspective, one that is often way more compassionate and understanding. This experience can be genuinely transformative. Siblings can develop this empathy that's just light years ahead of their peers. They learn how to bounce back from really tough situations. They become these amazing advocates, not just for their own sibling, but for others too. They learn to see difference, not as something wrong, but as a unique part of who a person is. And sometimes, as one sibling put it, they get to hold onto the magic of childhood for just a little bit longer.
Okay, so, knowing all of this, the big question is, how can we support these kids? How do we help them? We're going to start with what parents can do at home to make sure that every single child feels seen, heard, and valued.
Think of this as your practical toolkit. First, just talk about it. Silence creates so much confusion, but open conversation builds understanding. You can use simple analogies like, your brother's brain engine just runs a little faster. Second, create a safe space for all the feelings, the good, the bad, the ugly, the messy. Acknowledging their frustration is just as important as celebrating their love. Third, dedicated one-on-one time.
Even just 10 minutes a day sends a huge message. You are my priority right now. And finally, focus on playing together, on teamwork, to build those bonds and show them they're on the same team.
And the great news is you don't have to do any of this alone. There are some incredible resources out there. Things like Sib Shops. They're workshops specifically for siblings to connect with other kids who just get it. There are wonderful books to help start conversations, like My Best Friend Will, for the little ones, or Views from Our Shoes, which is a collection of essays written by siblings for adults. And you've got dedicated organizations like SIBS in the UK or Little Dreamers in Australia offering community and support. These tools can make such a huge difference.
But hey, the support shouldn't just come from parents. It truly does take a village. The responsibility for making siblings feel seen extends to a much, much wider circle of people.
So this is a direct call to action for every doctor, teacher, and therapist out there. The next time you're in an appointment or a parent-teacher conference, notice that quiet kid in the corner of the waiting room. Learn their name. Ask them directly, "Hey, how are you doing with all this?" Just including them in the conversation, even for a moment, validates their experience and their feelings. These small gestures, they are not small in their impact. They show a child that they are seen.
And here's why that wider circle is so critical. Research on what are called positive childhood experiences shows that having trusted adults to talk to, like an aunt, a coach, a family friend, acts as this powerful buffer against stress. These relationships are a key ingredient for building resilience. Ultimately, supporting siblings isn't about splitting your attention or dividing up resources like a pie. It's about understanding that care and love aren't finite. As one source so beautifully puts it, love isn't divided, it multiplies. When every single member of the family feels seen, heard, and supported, the entire family doesn't just get by. It gets stronger, more resilient, and more deeply connected.